day. Every day we work, we're sending money to support the federal government. And every year, it seems like more and more of our paycheck gets taken away. But have you ever stopped to ask, what are taxes for? I'm Alexis Garcia with PJTV, and I'm standing here outside of the Treasury Department, where your money becomes the government's money. But what is the purpose of taxation, and where should our dollars be going? I went to Capitol Hill to ask your representatives, what are taxes for?
Well, the purpose of taxes is to fund the operations of government. We need government to protect life, liberty, and property. And the operations of government require money, and that's why we have taxes. That's what they're there for.
Revenue to the federal government, taxes from the hardworking Americans are necessary at a certain level so that the federal government can provide the services that and appropriate kinds of things that are outlined in the Constitution. So the defense of the country is clearly necessary and needed tax money to do so.
Taxes, it's something that an unfortunate thing of government, but the truth is there are some things we should spend taxpayer dollars on, namely national defense, some things that are constitutional. But I would argue that the federal government does a lot of spending that it shouldn't be doing, a lot of waste, a lot of redundancy in the federal government. That's why we got to keep the tax burden low, not look to raise taxes to finance what I would argue in many cases is unconstitutional programs.
Taxes are for the fundamental operations of the federal government. Clearly they're not getting what their money is put in for, because one of the side notes of the massive spending is not only do your money go to the government and be wasted in many cases, but it also encourages them to continue to go on borrowing and spending, thinking they can go back to you repeatedly under the class warfare theory and somehow someone else will get taxed. So it continues to speed the process.
Now, taxes are used to fund essential federal programs, but are we the people getting our money's worth from government?
Absolutely not. Every American is overtaxed right now, and it's one of the key factors that's holding back our economy. I'm going to be speaking in Chicago at a big Tea Party rally on tax day, and this Tea Party movement, you and I have talked about it, folks are irate about how much government spending, about how much we're putting into government, and clearly we're not getting out of it what we should.
Well, I'm a former United States federal tax litigation attorney. I have a doctorate and a postdoctorate degree in federal tax law, and I can tell you quite clearly that taxes are very damaging to the individual, to the business world, to the family farmer, and to almost any entity in the United States, because whatever you tax, you will get less of. It doesn't increase productivity, it actually decreases productivity. You need to have revenues to run a government. There's no question, you have to have some form of taxes, but our current tax code at approximately $3.8 million, and we're just about at the point where everyone is coming up to the deadline to file their taxes. At 3.8 million words, the American people don't have a chance against the federal government.
The Americans just want sane, sound, sensible government that is limited and allows them to lead their lives and pursue their happiness. Right now they're not getting that. They're getting a bloated behemoth state that is actually outdated in the 21st century.
What's happened is that we have so distorted what the federal government does. We've expanded in massive ways what the federal government takes responsibility for. So much so that it has destroyed not just working on destroying our country from a financial standpoint, but it's destroyed families, it's destroyed communities. What we need to do is get back to the point where the federal government is doing only what it must do. And if we get to that point, then taxes will be able to be decreased to a huge degree.
And so I think it's very important that we abolish the current tax code and come up with something that is fair and flat and simple. And we can do that. In fact, I'd like to see the tax code limited to no more than 50 pages, double space, with at least no smaller than a 9-point font. I mean, I'm being facetious, but my point is we need to have a very simple tax system because it's costing businesses and individuals a lot of money for compliance. And it's an unfair, unwieldy system.
We're going through something pretty historic right now where we're trying to change folks' mindset as to what government can do. And part of that is we've got to simplify the tax code, but we've got to lessen what government takes from all of us.
Well, they're certainly getting plenty of government, much more than they'd ever wished. And our taxes are obviously way too high. And frankly, if we return to a constitutional limited government than our founders envisioned, our tax level would be much, much less. We'd have more freedom, more liberty, more job growth, more creation, more entrepreneurship. Tremendous things would happen if we could lower the taxes, but we need to cut back the size and scope of government. That's the only way we'll restore the great American dream.